Hello, beach friends. Today we are going to take advantage of another low tide and explore Little Hickory Island Beach Park. I love this little slice of beach and I've been really lucky here in the past. So we'll just have to see how much the beach is willing to reveal to us today. It was really foggy out. So we're going to creep around the beach with very low long distance visibility. However, the water is clear, so we will be finding some beachy goodness, including this amazing critter I've been dying to meet. So, if you are ready to see what the beach has in store for us today, let's go to the beach. So here we are at Little Hickory Beach Park. It is low tide. I came here specifically because of the low tide. First kind of visual inspection of the beach. Okay, there are shells here, mostly the common stuff. And since it's low tide, there is a 100% chance of me creeping around in the shallow water because that is where I like to find the good stuff. And since it's low tide, we're probably going to also see some critters. Look at that fog. So it was 71. It wasn't really cold. It was just, 71. Let's see. Okay, so the tide is going out. It's not dead low yet. So it's going out. We have a little bit of time, but the visibility was great in the water. And that's all we really care about, right? It doesn't really matter if we can see across the ocean as long as we can see through the water. So let's start our creeping around. Let's see what we find. Okay, a sand dollar. It's not in perfect condition, but I don't know what else I'm going to find today, so I'm going to hold on to that just in case. Oh, here is a critter. So this is a live lettered olive, and that is where the critter comes out. The shells are kind of backwards. It looks like they should kind of come out the other way, but that is not. Aw, look at that cute face, the two little eyeballs. Get a little closer look on that gorgeous little lettered olive. So that is what a live lettered olive looks like. Happy to see those critters. It had taken me actually quite a while before I found my first live one. That is not the first one I've seen. Let's see what else. Okay, another one. All right, it's going to be one of those days. So it looks like the olives I'm encountering are indeed alive. Hey, fella or gal, whoever you may be. And the reason that these shells are mostly very shiny is because the mantle or their body usually kind of envelops the shell and I guess protects it from the scratchy sand. But typically, neat. Typically those shells can be really glossy, and that's just the way that animal grows. All right, check this out. I found it so very early in the day. That is a live moon snail. And I have always heard that the animal itself is bigger than the shell. I did not expect it to be like this. I mean, the animal is, let's take a peek at the bottom. Yep, that is the bottom of the moon snail. Okay, just kind of a flat bottomed creature. And so its head, all right, that's the front of its foot. It's kind of moving around there. And I'll show you in a second that little U-shaped thing there. So that's kind of part of its eyes and mouth, and it's kind of its head. But that is a moon snail. How cool is that? Now you can clearly see the shell in the center there. I had no idea that the moon snail is actually that big. I mean, it's massive compared to the actual shell that's in there. Isn't that wild? And it's very slimy, but I was so excited to see one of those beautiful creatures alive. I didn't want to keep it out of the water too long, so there it is. It's going to bury itself in the sand, go drill some holes in some other critters. That was so cool. And speaking of critters, here we have a live sand dollar. So this gal or fella, perfectly fine. and perfectly alive. So that is not something you should ever take from the beach. Just check it out and leave it pretty much where I found it. Oh, now that is a fantastic example of a keeper. So that you can see it's smooth. There, I mean, obviously by the color, it's very smooth. It's in great condition. I'm definitely keeping that. Look at the crazy fog. It was wild. All right, tide is still going out, so I'm still kind of creeping along. This was an area that I had really found great stuff, so I was kind of hoping. So I spied a sand dollar, and the water is a little deep. I had my scooper with me, so I had my scooper assist me getting that sand dollar as well as this one out of the water. So doing pretty good in the sand dollar department. Oh, here we have a critter, a stranded critter. So that's a short-spined sea star. And we're going to go ahead and put that critter back in the water. And it had a friend here hanging out already. Let's take a peek at the bottom. So we'll let these two guys hang out together. You know, chit-chat, exchange stories, whatever it is that sea stars do. Now that's another lettered olive right there. And I'm going to show you they were everywhere. So kind of get a good look. You see that's a little bit darker than the surrounding areas. There's another one. And a whole bunch more. There's another one. And you know what I have found? It just, oh, there's a couple of them. There was 3 of them. There's 2 more. That the more you find these kind of things, there's another one. You kind of train your brain what to look for. So it's just a matter of practice, really. Get out there as often as you can. See what you can train your brain to find. And for sand dollars, my brain is actually trained to look for the darker areas. So when I see those black little slices in the opening of the sand dollar, that's kind of what lets me know that there is a sand dollar there. And that was a massive 9-armed sea star. They can get up to 16 inches across. It was huge. And there's a pelican just hanging out. Really foggy day. I would not want to be in a boat right about now. I mean, you couldn't see a thing. Oh, but we can see through the water. And that's, like I said, that's the important part. Another beautiful sand dollar, fantastic condition. And at the end, I'm going to clean up all the sand dollars I found. So we'll see how these all turn out in the end. A lot of these are in great condition to start with. That is not an example of a great one. And there are living barnacles still on there. Good luck, guys. They do filter feed, so they do need to stay in the water in order to survive. So that little ecosystem can stay here at the beach. So that's where I'm headed. There's a couple of jetties and really the end of the island. So I just kind of look to cover as much beach as I can at this point where the water is really, really low. And then we're going to head over a couple of jetties and I'll show you exactly where we're exploring. And I've got another sand dollar. Yeah, look at this one. It's massive. And other creatures are opportunists and they attach themselves to anything they can just so they can survive as well. I mean, this thing was just huge and it was really heavy. And I was curious if I was going to be able to kind of wash any of that sand out, but it was really packed in there. So just an example of how big those sand dollars can really get. And I see another one. Now see the black slices? That's what I'm kind of seeing. I'm seeing the parts of the actual sand dollar that aren't there. That is another really good condition sand dollar. The ones we get down here are called the 5-hole keyhole sand dollar. Great condition. And some more pelicans. Birds, critters are out enjoying the day as well. And another sand dollar. This one's a little bit lighter, but sometimes they can be just about the same color as the sand. That's a pretty decent one. I know it's missing a little piece, but I'm going to go ahead and keep it. So we're making our way down to the end there. And this is a good walk if you don't feel like walking for miles and miles and miles. There's not all that much beach. And the parking is actually really close. Like I said, I tend to only come here at low tide. The shelling's okay. And here, let's just kind of show you where we're at. So here's the Gulf. Here's Sanibel. There's Fort Myers Beach, Lover's Key, and then we are in this area. So we're still in that general vicinity. This is a little bit closer. This is the parking area. And then here is where we're kind of creeping along, and then we're going to make it up to those jetties at the end. Let's zoom in again. So now you can kind of see those two jetties we're going to go through, and we're going to explore all that area up there, that north. A lot more is exposed because it's low tide versus when those photos were taken. So that's where we're going to be today. And it looks like I found myself a Florida fighting conch with some beach stuff on it. Probably won't. And another, look at that, another live lettered olive. So did not keep the Florida fighting conch, but still looking. Yep, that one was almost completely buried, but I saw the voids in the sand dollar, so I was able to spy that. And again, I will show you how that cleans up at the end. Oh, beautiful. I love the petal patterns. Just gorgeous. Love sand dollars. Very, very cool. All right, so we're finally making it over to that first jetty. And we are finding stuff. You know, oh, that moon snail was so cool. And we're definitely finding sand dollars, but I was really, honestly, kind of expecting a little bit more. Maybe some flats, maybe an alphabet cone. But I'm not going to get discouraged. I really cover every square inch and try to improve my opportunities by really just exploring as much area as I can. I'm gonna check the jetty, gonna say hi to this little snowy egret. Hey buddy. And then I'm gonna see if there's maybe shells over here, if anything was kind of stuck in the rocks, but there's really not much here. And that's all right, because we're just gonna keep at it. All right, see a little piece of something. Yeah, I did. Yeah, that's what I found. A little piece of a Florida fighting conch. So that's the first jetty. Remember the overhead picture. So just to give you an idea, there's not much on the beach. You know, we're doing what we can in the water, but we're going to keep exploring. Really just kind of check every nook and cranny, anywhere that a shell might be hiding. Oh, all right. We have a little calico scallop. Sure, let's add that to the collection. And take a peek up on the beach. Yeah, a quick peek because it's really just small, common things. And so that's the spot in between the jetties. And man, the people, they set up an awesome setup with tents and paddle boards. It really did look like fun. And I'm having a good old time, just kind of creeping around in the super foggy weather, seeing what might be hiding out here in the low tide. All right, here is a juvenile Florida fighting conch. Nobody's home, so I can keep that. It looks like another piece of a sand dollar. Yep. Oh, pretty. I wonder, probably because they're freshly dead. I think the whiter ones have just been kind of hanging around a little bit longer. They've had more of an opportunity to get bleached out by the sun, while those darker ones were probably deceased, you know, in the more near future, more recently. So I'm not alone, and that, you know, at this time of year, I am reminded a lot more people come down here to escape the cold. So I do have to start kind of sharing my beaches, my empty beaches, with some other shellers. And it is really cloudy. Look at this though, weird, right? Super foggy, but just a little bit of blue sky, and I was kind of hoping it would clear up. So we'll just have to see. I just have to see what happens. Either way, it's not raining, not lightning, so we're good. All right, that is a spiny jewel box that is merely lumpy at this point. Probably been hanging around for a while. I've been enjoying this foggy morning walk, and now it's your turn. Okay, there's something hiding. Looks like it's probably a lightning whelk. It sure is. All right, now typically I probably wouldn't hold on to it, but I'm not having a great day, so I am going to hold on to that, and I will show you how easily those white things can kind of just get picked off. We'll check that out at the end. We're still here on the beach exploring. Now that is a West Indian worm snail. I happen to like the way those look kind of mixed in with other shells. What do we got? Oh, cool. Now that I really do think is the top of one of the flat. It is not a bay scallop. It's very, very wide. Fantastic scallop. Really happy with that. And while I was there, it looks like I also found myself one of those channeled duck clams. So take a peek at that. And Florida fighting conch. And I was trying to figure out what's inside there. Is it a hermit crab? I mean, it's not a Florida fighting conch, but gently gotta try to wash out what's in there. I don't want to disturb or harm anything that might be in there. But at the end of the day, looked like it was just a bunch of beach stuff. So I decided to keep that Florida fighting conch. And there's another sea star, one of those short-spined sea stars, still foggy. And the fog is kind of like getting thicker and thinner. It's still ever present, but it's there for sure. So it was kind of ethereal, kind of a neat way to kind of spend the day at the beach. Don't have to worry about sunburn or anything, just kind of creeping around in the fog. All right, here's something, a live. So there's a critter in there. You see its little eyeballs? Hi, cutie. So that is a live Florida fighting conch that is very green, so probably wouldn't have held onto that shell anyway, but it doesn't matter. There's already somebody home. Cool zigzags on the back. Need to check out the pattern and then leave our friend to hang out at the beach. Well, what do we got here? Okay, this is a hinged giant Atlantic cockle that was just covered with barnacles. And what I found interesting about this is how much heavier that shell was. I mean, barnacles, when they're together like that and they kind of colonize, I guess, really, that it was probably 3 or 4 times as heavy as it normally is. So those suckers can really get heavy. Look at those 2 little black spots. Those are little eyeballs. So this is a live juvenile Florida fighting conch. Just a baby shell. We'll leave him or her back where we found him. Now here's another giant Atlantic cockle. That's pretty cool. Take a look on the river. All right, check out, see how clean it is. That is a decent find. So I'm going to hold on to that giant Atlantic cockle. Now, this is another olive, and I just very interested. I'm not finding a lot of shells, so of course I'm going to spend a little bit more time with the critters. And I sped this up so I don't have to torture you with 2 minutes of a snail kind of sliming around my palm. So this is another lettered olive, and I talked about earlier a little bit how its body kind of usually envelops its shell. That gives it that really shiny surface. Not all the time, but a lot of times. And the lettered olives use their really strong foot to bury themselves in the sand, and they hunt for things like coquinas in the surf zone. So they are predators. They will hunt other live things, but they're also scavengers. So they will eat other things that they find that are dead. I just love those lettered olives. There is another, that's actually really pretty Florida fighting conch. Oh, of course it is, because there's a critter inside. Well, sorry to disturb you, friend. Cool shell. And all that layer on top, that's the periostracum. But someone's home, can't keep it. Now, this little hermit crab in this little West Indian shell reminded me of another hermit crab that I saw over in Sanibel. We're going to take a peek at that in a second. But this one was cracking me up, and its legs were kind of getting stuck together because of the water. So the one that I had found over in Sanibel, I'm wondering, see, it's really strange looking, and I'm wondering if its front claws or its front arms were also just kind of stuck together with the water. I don't know if you guys remember this. I immediately did and wondered, okay, is that what that weird critter is? Is it really just a crab with its legs all kind of stuck together? I don't know. What do you think? What do you think? Do you think that weird thing from Sanibel was indeed one of those crabs with his legs stuck together? Leave me a comment. Let me know what you think. And here, well, if you were using that for jewelry, it's very convenient. That is a disc dosenia with a drill hole already in there. All right, here we have something old. Yep, an old lightning whelk. A little discolored with a couple of barnacles. Not terribly exciting, but man, I'm telling you, I'm I'm really kind of scouring every square inch just in case. Now here we have a keeper. That is another lightning whelk. That is a cool shell. And there is another juvenile Florida fighting conch. So yeah, I'm not, like I said, not finding exactly what I was hoping to find. Here is another lightning whelk, but I am not giving up easily. I am just going to keep at it, keep overturning every shell, anything that I think might give us some sort of treasures. And here we have a broken lightning whelk and another one of those duck clams. Kind of see some things smattering. That's another hinged Discdocenia. Another one of those duck clams. And while I'm here, yep, another duck clam. Oh, Florida fighting I'm sorry, that was a lightning whelk piece. So it looks like I kind of found this little strip of things that are a little bit more interesting, and I didn't notice. I practically, yeah, hey birds, they didn't seem to mind. I was really, really close. I was creeping along slow, wasn't really paying them much attention, so they were just fine with me being there. And that is just a piece of a moon snail. Yep, there they are. We got some terns, some gulls, some pelicans, all just kind of hanging out, enjoying the low tide and the extra beach that they get. So that is the inside. That's called nacre. And what created that particular nacre was a pen shell. So that is the inside of a shell. And crazy that these snails and slugs and whatnot can just create these beautiful iridescent pieces of shell. All right, did find two more Florida fighting conchs. Yep. Somebody's home, so that is alive. We'll leave that be. And the other shell was a little beat up, so I figured, I'll just leave it be anyway. That is a pear whelk. And holy cow, a keeper. Yay! All right, not great color, but still, it's in great shape. So that is a pear whelk. Okay, looks a little more interesting over here. And I figured for sure this was going to be alive, but it's not. It's like, and look at the color on that. That is just fabulous. So that is a lettered olive with great lettering, great color. I was super happy I didn't give up, and I just kept at it. Now that dark bird you see there, that is a reddish egret. And then the one behind it, that is a snowy egret. No, the color's not great. Probably couldn't see them all that well. But just to let you know that pretty much at any time, I'm never really alone out here. There's always some sort of bird lurking around somewhere. Oh, another Florida fighting conch. That's empty. Yay. It's pretty clean. It's in decent shape. So that is definitely a keeper. Florida fighting conch. And another. This one, I'm going to go with decent. And a day like today, definitely keeping it. Absolutely keeping it. All right, I see a scallop. Oh, super cool bay scallop with some cool, I like the markings on that. Little unusual, almost like a calico with a burst, those white bursts. Very cool bay scallop. So fog is still persistent, and that little sliver of blue we saw earlier just got covered up by more fog. So yeah, weather check, foggy still. A giant Discdocenia. So we've seen a couple. That one is just super big. A really big Discdocenia. Oh, another lightning whelk. All right, so we're finding a couple things. I still really like that olive. I thought that olive was really cool. That is a lightning whelk. Oh, I see a cone. I do. A big old alphabet cone. That is probably the biggest I've ever found. The color's not perfect. It's not perfect, but still, it's just such a whopper. I'm very impressed by this giant cone. So I was really happy once again that I didn't give up, and I really just kind of just kept at it. There is another, oh, real pretty, like orange Florida fighting conch with a bunch of stuff in it. So we'll just wash that out real good. I like that it's kind of a tangerine color, a lot more orange than yellow or the browns. So yep, I know it looks a little beat up, but I'm going to try to clean up that Florida fighting conch. Oh, there is another one of those 9-armed sea stars. And a couple of more shells here. So water's real clear. At least we have that going in our favor. But here it really looks just like a bunch of the arcs, the common stuff, the crossbarred Venus clams. But like I said, I was not giving up. I was going to search just about every square inch that I possibly could. What do we see? All right, little piece of that thin-fingered coral. And look at how many, well, for me it seems like a lot of people. A lot of people here. There's kayakers, boaters, yep, and more shellers. So that's another reason this time of year I kind of like to try to get out there first thing, get out there early, especially if there's a low tide. So there are, like I said, are shells here. All a matter of what you were in the mood to collect. Another olive that's empty. Yay. All right, it's a little bit lettery. And I do notice it's a little bit chipped on that aperture, but that's okay, especially on a day like today. I'm going to keep it. I'll figure something out. I'll use that as a project or something. So it's another lettered olive. Okay, here we have a mossy arc. It's kind of like the weird cousin of the turkey wing. So it was a little beat up. You might not see the family resemblance, but that was a mossy arc. And here we have, complete with a whole bunch of its periostracum, this is a hinged ponderous arc. And typically when they're smaller, they're really just white. Sometimes they hold on to that black stuff on it, but that one happened to have a lot of black and we're not finding much. So let's just look at everything we can. This is another juvenile, a smaller Florida fighting conch. And oh my goodness, a rose petal tellin with all sorts of even tiny, it's not in great shape, but still, a day like today, I'm going to be happy with that. Okay, another Florida fighting conch. I'm checking patterns, spikes, you know, so much to love. Now, I was super happy to have this encounter. That is a little brittle star. I happened to pick up this disc Dosenia and noticed this little critter in it. So that is a little brittle star. Not going to handle it, just going to show you how it's kind of hung out with this little critter for a little while. So that's making it's kind of hiding under that little lip of the disc Dosenia. So we got to see a little brittle star. Pretty cool. Now, earlier I was able to walk around the front of this jetty, but the tide is coming in at this point, and it's a good idea just to have an idea where you are. This is not a problem. You're going to be able to walk through, but again, if you have an idea of where you are, what the tides are like, just so you don't lose any of the access to the beach or your car. You don't want to get stuck anywhere, so just have a little bit of an idea what the tides will be doing. And this is another one of those very common. I thought it was kind of pretty. This is a broad-ribbed cardita. On a slow day like today, I'm checking out things that are a little bit more common. And look, I think those are our two friends from earlier. So they're still hanging out, which is kind of cool. So we have our short-spined sea stars. And I see, oh, an olive. All right, a project olive. It's already missing its top. Great for maybe a chain pull or something. Who knows? But on a little slow. I'm going to keep it. And another sand dollar. Let's see what kind of shape this one's in. Aww. Yeah, I'm probably not going to keep it. Not going to complain. I found a bunch of other ones. So it's at this point we are going to conclude our walk. Now, it was not what I expected. I really did expect to find a lot more stuff just because it was low tide. Winter is kind of here. The shelling is typically a little bit better, but if you find yourself not finding things, just keep going. Just keep going. Just keep shelling. So here is that lightning whelk I had picked up earlier with that white stuff on it. And all I did was spend, I don't know, maybe 2 minutes with this here dental pick. And that typically comes right off. I have not dipped this in acid. That would help it even further. But it really doesn't take, I didn't bother with the inside. I really just wanted to show you the outside. So that particular kind of beach stuff is pretty easy to pick off. So this is all the goodies we ended up with. We did really good in the sand dollar department, so that was really fun. A giant alphabet cone, which was really cool. A couple of those Florida fighting conchs, the giant Atlantic cockle, a couple of those Florida fighting conchs, the coral, the worm snails, and the scallops. And I wanted to talk about these because I wanted you to see them side by side. Look how much different and wider the one on the left is. So I really do think that that is the top of a, this time I really do. And then my favorite shell is that olive. That was my favorite shell of the day. Now I'm not quite done yet because I just wanted to show you quickly. Those are the condition the sand dollars were in before, and then this is after. And all I did was soak them in hydrogen peroxide for about 2 days, and they came out super white. Some of them still had a little bit of color to them. I'll probably just end up painting them or something, but the sand dollars came out great. So it was really fun, cool, foggy day. Patreons, thank you so very much for supporting me, coming along with me. You guys are the best. And everybody else, thank you so very much. I really do appreciate you. I appreciate all your comments, all your love. Next week, not exactly sure where we're going to be. I've been checking all the tides, trying to figure out when is going to be the best time to go, the best beach to go to. So I'm doing my research. Don't know where we'll be, but I will see you next Sunday. Have a great week.